So my name's Simon Constable and I'm an equine vet. Today we're doing another video in our series of videos about various things veterinary related. This one's entitled Vaccinations, and in particular it's to do with the vaccinations around the Horse of the Year show to make sure that everybody fulfills the requirements. We're here today at the Arab Horse Society National Championship show at Three Counties Showground in Malvern, and there's several classes for every aspect of horses really, from the in-hand to the ridden, including dressage, show jumping. In particular, obviously we're talking about the ridden from the Horse of the Year show point of view, and there are 3 horses, a stallion, a mare and a gelding, that have qualified for Horse of the Year show. So obviously one of the things we've got to ensure is that those horses are fully vaccinated, and that really is the crucial thing, because many of the provincial shows don't actually have any requirements about having vaccination records for the horses, and it's only when you find out, we're in late July now, that actually they do need them, and literally the clock is ticking before Horse of the Year show in October. So we'll talk in a few minutes about what to do and how to have the vaccinations. One of the fundamentals about owning horses is the presence of a passport, and that is a really important part of owning a horse. And the passport has got to be an official document produced by a passport issuing organisation, such as a breed society for example. And within that passport, if you open it up, it's got to have all the details correct. That's including the ownership details, but also the horse's identification sketch, that it's fully filled in with all the correct markings. So the first bit is check the passport, make sure the name's correct, make sure there is a name, and then we look at the markings. So this is to correlate with the horse that's in front of you, make sure that all the white markings. So first of all, we'll go and look at the head, make sure that the white markings correlate with the correct horse and the whorls are correct. Then we move back down to the body, make sure all these white markings are in the right place. All these sorts of things, make sure the legs are correct. And then we go around the other side and do the same on that other side. Make sure all the markings are correct. Good boy, off you go. Again, all the white markings, any whorls that may be present, again, very important part of it. And then another important part is the microchip. This is this area here, a sticker in this case. They normally on the left hand side, so we'll move back round to the left hand side on the neck. Use the microchip reader, which is read very correctly. And then we compare that number with the number that's on the microchip reader. So again, important things to check before you start looking at your vaccination history. And I would strongly recommend that you do check that vaccination history, because it may be that several years ago you were maybe a day or 2 out with your vaccination booster, and that can then completely ruin the horse's vaccination status, and it's regarded by certainly by the Horse of the Year show vets as not fulfilling their requirements. And their requirements are basically the Jockey Club rules. They're the horse racing Jockey Club rules, which insist on 2 vaccinations 21 to 92 days apart, followed by a 3rd vaccination between 150 and 215 days after the 2nd injection, and then yearly boosters of not more than 365 days. So before I even see the horse, generally just outside the stable, I will have a look at the vaccination record within the passport. So it's important to go back over previous years, because as can be seen in this case, the 3rd vaccination was actually done less than the 150 days. It was actually done at 147 days. So therefore this horse had to be started again. Another important part is to make sure that if there are any amendments or any crossings out, that it used to be the case that an initial could be put by to the vet correcting it. Now the suggestion is that whole line is crossed out and then filled in again immediately below. Also, to make sure that the horse has had the correct vaccinations. Horses require influenza every year. That's got to be a yearly booster, as we said earlier, less than 365 days. But the tetanus part of it can be alternated. So tetanus is done 1 year, flu is done the year after. And then we can go on to actually vaccinating the horse. Okay, so the actual vaccination itself, we do it in potentially 3 places intramuscularly. One is in the neck, a second area is in the pectoral muscles in the front, but I preferably do it in the quarters, in the gluteals, in the back end. Normally just swab with a dry swab just to remove any surface debris or dirt. Put the needle in. Connect needle and syringe, draw back, and then inject the vaccine. And it really is as simple as that. Good boy. Okay, so what should you expect when you arrive at Horse of the Year show? Well, you'll join a couple of queues of horse boxers, and then you'll be met by several officials, some of who will be veterinary surgeons, and you won't be allowed to take your horse off your horse box until those vets have been into the horse box and checked the horses are the correct ones. So they'll come up to your door, bang on the door, and hopefully you'll open it. So the vet will come into your horse box, go into your horse section, and then check with your passport, compare that with your markings, compare with your microchip to make sure that you've got the right horse. And that's before you can get your horse off the lorry. It's important to realise for the Horse of the Year show you need a minimum of 2 vaccinations, which, as we already said, are 21 to 92 days apart. And unless you've had those 2 vaccinations, you will not be allowed on the showground. The other important aspect is you must leave a gap of not less than 7 days from the last vaccination until you attend the Horse of the Year show. So any boosters should be done well before that, or if you're cutting it fine and the second vaccination has to be done, make sure that it's done within that time. This roughly means that if you're not vaccinated or you have to start your vaccines again, for 2017 you would have to start approximately around the 5th of September. That's because in 2017 it's between the 4th and the 8th of October. So that will leave you a 21-day gap between the 1st and the 2nd, and then still leave you the 7 days before the Horse of the Year show starts. The only thing that doesn't apply, or these regulations don't apply to, are the international show jumpers, which is a very similar requirement, but that's the FEI rules. But going back to the vaccinations, we are of course talking about influenza. Basically, that's the influenza and tetanus in a lot of cases where the first 2 vaccinations are normally both influenza and tetanus, but then the influenza bit is the part that's most important. So here we are coming to the end of the show. It's been a fantastic number of days, competing, socialising, really enjoyed it ourselves, and I hope everybody else has as well. Obviously, I can't stress the importance of looking and checking your vaccination records, checking your passports, making sure everything's okay. If you're in any doubt, contact your vet and make sure that everything is fully up to date and you're able then to go to Hoys. We're certainly looking forward to that. I'm sure there are some people who have yet to qualify, and good luck to you. But otherwise, enjoy your horses and we'll hopefully see you at Hoys.